Hi, I'm CeCee Torres for IdeateTV here at Strategicon Gateway 2022, and we're speaking with the creator of the game, Builders of Blankenburg, Mr. Peter Schultz. Hello, Peter.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And so we were very intrigued by your game as we were walking by. It caught our eye. Tell us about it.
All right, so Builders of Blankenburg is a game of bidding and resource management. And what really sets it apart from most of the town builders out there is that instead of just building structures to win the game, you have to pay attention to who you're building for. You actually have citizens in the town. And that's how you earn income, is by having citizens who want to stay at the structures you build.
Okay, well, that sounds very interesting. What inspired you to create this game?
Well, I've always been a big fan of fantasy and just historical medieval times and such. And so I liked the setting of the medieval period and the building of, I like town builders, I like resource management. And I always felt there was something lacking in the fact that there was no sort of humanity to it. There was always just, I build a castle just because a castle's good. And so I came up with the idea of, hey, you have to build based on who's going to be there. If you have a prince in town, then a castle's awesome. If you have the peasant in town, the cottage is going to be more their speed.
And what's the response been to the game so far?
Builders of Blankenburg has done well. We're working on a second edition shortly. The first edition is pretty much completely sold out.
And what is it like to see the game that you created go from concept to creation?
It's a great feeling. You hear it from like all sorts of people, like authors and stuff. They love to be published and have their name on a book, and it's amazing to see something that actually will be in a game store, and there you have your name on a box. And when it comes out, it really is a professional game. It's as high a quality as any other game that you buy somewhere.
And we actually had the pleasure of speaking with your daughter, and she told us how she enjoys gaming. How is it to be able to share this with your family?
Oh, I love it. It's always nice to share things that are important to you with your family. And, both my daughters from an early age started getting them into games. And so even though they're fairly young, or my youngest is only 11 right now, but she's playing lots of Euro style and higher strategy games.
Yeah, so I know we all went through lockdown and there wasn't much to do. Was gaming something that you were able to share with your family then and kind of keep your sanity through that time?
Yeah, board games were great during the lockdown. It was very, it's something you do at your home. You don't need to have anything. You don't need to go out. And it's an inexpensive hobby. For the price of going to one movie, 4 tickets to a movie, you can buy a game that you can play over and over again.
Yeah, that's true. And if they're looking for a game, Builders of Blankenburg sounds like a great choice to pick up. What's your favorite part of the game?
So for the base game, I really like what we call like the income phase, where you see how the different citizens in the town, where they're going to stay and how you get the income from it. And it's an interesting dynamic because as buildings fill up, then the people who might want to stay there, well, now that building's full, so they go to the next choice. And so there's a whole sort of domino effect as you have the different people going places. And then we also created a number of expansions for Blankenburg. We have out the Fields and Flocks expansion, which adds additional ways to earn income and prestige through livestock and raising crops as well.
And looking at the pieces, it's so intricate. You have keys here, you have dice, everything kind of goes in together to make it the complete game that you were trying to create.
Yes, definitely. It has a very Euro feel with the classic wood cube still for the resources, but it has a little bit of the American flair with the randomness of a dice roll that's going to be part of what's in the bid, and the randomness of a flip of the card as to who's the next citizen who's going to arrive in the town.
And the art is beautiful. Do you want to talk about the artist for this?
Oh, certainly. Builders of Blankenburg, my sister, Liz Stefanoff, was actually the artist for the game. And so she created all of the different art assets for both Blankenburg and the various Blankenburg expansions. The base game had about 100 different art assets, and normally you'd have to find multiple freelance artists to pull that together. But by having a single artist do it all really gives it a cohesive feel.
It was a labor of love for both of you, I'm sure. Have you always been into gaming and creating games?
Yeah, I've always enjoyed games as a child. My family played what were considered then good games, Monopoly and everything else that nowadays we frown upon. But as you know, as I found the modern game hobby, what is that, 15, 20 years ago now, when things started coming out with Catan and Carcassonne, and started getting into that, and it really sort of brought back, I'm a competitive person, and that was one of the things I enjoyed as a child, and now being able to bring it into adulthood as these more mature strategic games, less luck, more planning, and I got into it and got my family into it as well.
What's the importance of an event like Strategicon for a creator like yourself?
Well, it really gives us a first-hand opportunity to meet with the people who are playing the games, to see what they think of it. And while you get contact through Kickstarter or other virtual types of things, but having that real face-to-face, seeing the facial expressions and the body language when someone's talking about it, or even more importantly, when they're sitting down and playing it with you, and seeing the enjoyment of a group of people when they're playing something that you designed, it really is a great feeling, and it gives you some of the best uncensored feedback that you get as a designer as well.
And if people want to pick up the game, how can they find it?
Okay, well, obviously right now at Strategicon, we're right here. Our games, Builders of Blankenburg the original printing is almost out of stock. They might be able to still find it on our website, cobblestonegames.net. Otherwise, we are planning a second edition of Blankenburg that's going to be coming to Kickstarter, likely in another month or so.
And you have another game coming out?
Yes, we have another game that is actually in production right now called Quartermaine. It's based on the old Alan Quartermaine stories, and it's been made into a number of movies, most notably King Solomon's Mines is the most well-known title. And it's based in turn-of-the-century Africa, and you're playing as Alan Quartermaine, who is a hunter, adventurer, explorer of the late 1800s there. And so it's a deck building game where you're journeying, trying to collect wealth, and along the way you have to gain allies, and you go hunting to work through the unexplored areas of Africa.
That one sounds exciting as well, and I know your daughter, who we met, was very excited to tell us about it as also. Well, thank you so much. It sounds like an easy game. Will someone who's a beginner be able to pick it up like myself?
For Builders of Blankenburg, or for... Yes, Builders of Blankenburg, it's a fairly family-friendly, I mean, people might call it a gateway game, because it has some basic phases that repeat themselves every turn. So once you've gone through it a turn or two, it really sort of comes and clicks.
Well, I'm going to try out Builders of Blankenburg for myself with the creator, Peter Schultz. And here for IdeateTV at Strategicon Gateway 2022, I'm CeCee Torres. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos.